This is Corncod 1. Welcome to Nationalist News and Notes. I'm a little dismayed by some of the recent statements by Austrian Chancellor Sebastian Kurz saying that Viktor Orban should be punished. He makes a clear distinction, however, between Orban's anti-immigration position and his reforms of the Hungarian court system. Kurz seems to be of the opinion that the way the Hungarians are organizing their courts is somehow against European norms. It's a lot of bullcrap. It's important to understand what Kurz's position is. You know, he's the young Austrian chancellor. He's the youngest head of state in the entire world. Since he took office last year, he has done some good stuff in terms of anti-immigration. He's thrown out radical Islamic clerics. I think he instituted a burqa ban in the school system. And he's been generally mildly, I say advisedly, anti-immigration. He came to power last year having almost been beaten out by the much more nationalist party, the Freedom Party led by Strache. You know, he's the head of the center-right party. Kurz is head of the center-right party in Austria and went into coalition with Strache's Freedom Party, which, you know, would be much more preferable to nationalists. Strache, of course, has been supporting Orban 100% on everything. Kurz has decided to take, probably for politically prudent reasons, a much more pragmatic approach. He wants to be very pro-Euro, but at the same time anti-migrant and anti-immigrant moderately. And he's pretty much hewed to that line thus far. The only disappointing thing being his denunciation of Orban. They've had visits together. Both of these politicians are very cordial, and they've both expressed their desire to control illegal immigration coming into their respective countries, and that's all very good. But I wish, even if Kurz wants to be a little bit more enthusiastic about the EU than his coalition partners or Orban, I think he should have moderated his rhetoric a little bit. Maybe he should have strongly implied that any punishment that the EU should give Orban, you know, should be relatively mild or something like that. So I'm a little disappointed, and I hope Kurz regains his more moderate position and doesn't get into the habit of being too much of a New World Order protector. I mean, he is a center-right guy, after all. But it's kind of interesting now, you know, even in Germany, Der Link, which is a fairly left-wing party, has now taken on once again, like Kurz, has taken on a mildly anti-immigrant position. And so you're going to see the phenomenon, and you've seen it in some of the Scandinavian countries, of moderate left parties taking more stridently anti-illegal immigrant positions. And that's all very good, but I think European voters have to keep a close eye on these people, you know, that they not only talk the talk, but they walk the walk. That they're not being deceptive toward the voters, which they could very well be. So it's a situation worth watching for European voters very carefully. European voters would do much better to stay away from these moderates in terms of voting for them in national elections. They should resist any temptation to go for the center-right or even moderate-left people who are taking a moderate anti-immigration position. And you might as well go with the nationalists, which are pretty mild nationalists as it is. So if I were an Austrian, of course, I'd support the Freedom Party, and if I were a German, I'd support Alternative for Deutschland, even though those parties are only mildly nationalistic. But I certainly wouldn't go any far left than those. So that's my recommendation to our European cousins. Well, this is Corncod1 of Nationalist News and Notes, signing off.